should have been checking Blackboard over the snow days. Thank you to those of you that did. The only thing that we communicated to you was to take this E-part district test here. Yes. So due to the snow days, we missed our opportunity to take this. So this is now required for you to do as homework. So if you already did it over the break, awesome. You don't have to do it. You've already done it. But if you haven't done it, it is now required as homework for you. You have until Sunday, so we're giving you an entire week to do it. Actually, I'm giving you 2 weeks now to do it. So Sunday, February 7th, it's due by 11:59 p.m. You do not have school on Friday, so it's a teacher work day. End of the quarter. I do have school. So that is the perfect opportunity for you to take your E-Part district test. So we will reopen it today, and it'll be open until Sunday. I highly recommend you don't wait till Sunday, though. Do it on Friday.
Guys, with the E-Cart tests, assuming you guys do your best at it, we will not factor the grade you get on it into your grade, but you must show work for every problem. So you should have a scrap sheet of paper, and number 1, write out your work. Number 2, write out your work for all of them, and that you will turn in for a grade. So having your work shown, that will be turned in for a grade, okay? If all of you turn it in, or most of you turn it in, and have your work actually legitimately shown, we will not factor your grade on the test into your overall grade in this class. Okay? But you have to do your best on it. We have to see that you didn't just guess randomly.
So you write number 1, show your work. Write number 2, show your work. You can use a calculator the entire time. If you used the calculator and did no work, then write I used my calculator. But you should not be doing it for every single one. Yes, John.
The test wasn't even about
Yes. So thank you for bringing that up. You just got back your Unit 7 test. Yep. Unit 7 test. You have until next Thursday to retake that, but if you want that to show up on your second quarter grade, like for your report cards, it needs to be retaken by Thursday. Now, you again have until next Thursday to retake it, and it will go on your second quarter grade, but if you retake it next Thursday, it won't be on the one that gets sent home. So we'll go back and change it, but it won't be on your report card that gets sent home, because grades are due Monday. Alright, so again, E-Cart district test, I want you to write on your assignment sheet, I want you to circle it and write that it's due Sunday, February 7th at 11:59 p.m. Let's make sure it's right.
And be aware, if you have to retake that test before Friday, we will do our best to make sure that it gets on the report card that goes out, but we can't promise it. It depends on how much work we have to take.
Also, with your E-Cart, if you are unable to take this at home, that's fine. Just come talk to us, and you'll need to take it during Stinger or after school.
Yeah.
You're in the student.
You should even be able to do this, guys, though, on your phones. I believe I have heard people have success doing that in the past.
Any questions about the E-Cart and what you need to do with that? So again, make sure that done by Sunday. If you have already done it and you already have your work to turn in, just hand it to us by the end of class, and we'll check it out. Those are your notes. Okay, so now let's take a look at that warm-up problem. I'm going to quickly go through it. I saw that some of you were struggling with just graphing an inequality, so we're going to do a quick review of that, and then we'll go over your homework. So here we have, it says graph 2x minus 3y is less than 18. The fact that you've seen inequality means that we're going to have to do some shading. Now we treat this like a normal line. We want to get y by itself, so subtract 2x from both sides. And let's go and draw the line here. It helps out some of you to do that. So 2x minus 2x is 0. 2 minus 2 is 0, so we don't have to put anything there. So it's negative 3y is less than 18, and negative 2x are not like terms. Some of you are still combining these together on your test. These are not like terms. So we write our negative 2x first. My 18 is positive. Then divide by negative 3. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is positive 1y. And what must I do when I divide or multiply by negative 1? Very good, right? I have to flip my sign. So then I need to do my heart here. Negative 2 divided by negative 3 is a positive 2/3 x. And positive 18 divided by negative 3 is a negative 6.
Oh.
So when we graph this, my y-intercept is -6. This is another mistake I kept seeing. My y-intercept, that means I go on my y-axis. Some of you were plotting this on your x-axis. So I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then my slope is a positive 2/3. So up 2 over 1, 2, 3. Up 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3. And again, a positive slope means that my line should be going up as I go to the right. Right, now because this is a greater than, and it does not have the or equal to, what type of line am I going to do? A dotted line. Now, some of you just left it like this and didn't actually draw in your line. You need to actually draw in the dotted line there. Is that I need to actually see that line. Okay. Now, to decide if we shade, which region we shade, we test our point 0, 0. 0, 0 is not on the line, so I'm going to test that point. Let's test it back up in my original equation. So putting in 0 for x and 0 for y. 2 times 0 is 0. 3 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 0 is 0. Is 0 less than 18? Yeah. So that means that 0, 0 does work, so I'm going to shade this side.
That's what we do.
Also, again, we mentioned this for those of you that are able to remember this. The fact that y is greater than means we shade above. And you can use that to double check. All right, questions on this one? Okay, now we're going to go ahead and walk through a problem together from what we did last class. Since it was so long ago, we're going to go and just do this together. So, I'm actually going to take number 2 and do this together. Alright, so last class we talked about how to solve a system of equations by graphing. A system of equations is where we have 2 or more equations. Are we alright? You lost your pencil? That's not good.
Oh, the newspaper's still here.
Alright, so we have a system of equations. That means that we have 2 or more equations. So we need to graph each individual equation. And then where they intersect is your solution. So I want you to go ahead and graph this intersection.
That's what we use those for?
No, we use this in geometry, but
Oh.
when we run out of pencils. Alright, so I want you to go and graph each of those equations on number 2, just on your warm-up sheet.
Wait, what? Oh.
On your warm-up sheet. Graph these 2 equations. And we should be graphing these 2 equations.
How did you learn about what's happening in the world? You can never stop reading.
Alright, for y equals -1, what acronym should come to your mind?
I'm gonna go.
Oi! We have just a y equals, so we have oi. We are still struggling to remember this, as was evident on your test. When it's just y, then we have a horizontal line with a slope of 0. So I go to -1 for y. And some of you are still drawing a vertical line. It is a horizontal line. Alright, now our second line here. Y equals -5/2 x plus 4. Alright, so all we're doing right now is stuff we learned back in October. Right, so if you cannot graph lines, you must come see us for help. Because that is not something that you cannot know. You need to know. Alright, so our y-intercept is +4. Are you serious? Our y-intercept is +4. We start off with that. Again, some of you are graphing this on your x-axis. It goes on your y-axis. Now my slope is -5/2. If I try to go up 5, I'm going to go off the graph. So let's go and go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then to the right 2. Done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. Notice as we create this line, it's going to have that negative slope. And it needs to have the negative slope since there is that negative. Our intersection point is our answer. And here our intersection is at the point 2, -1. So our answer is 2, -1. For systems of equations, we have two variables, x and y. Our answer is going to be an x and a y, written as an ordered pair.
And remember when you're solving these ones, guys, all of them have equal signs. So you're not doing dotted or solid. You're just doing solid all the time.
Correct. Equal is just like we normally do with a solid line. Our shading comes from our inequalities. Our dotted line comes from. All right, questions on how to do that one? Okay, that is what we did however long ago was that we saw you, a week and a half ago. 2 days ago. A week and a half ago. So that is one way to solve a system of equations. Now the problem comes when we have a system of equations that don't intersect at these nice whole numbers. Because what if my intersection was something like this? I don't know what that exact value is. So we have actually two ways to find out what our solution is, but it's not that nice whole number. So our other two ways is called substitution method and then elimination method, or called linear combinations. Today we're going to be doing the substitution method. Awesome. All right, so go ahead and take out your notes. Oh wait, homework. Let's take a look at the homework.
Those of you that did not have your homework done,
Okay, so take a look at your notes. Again, what I said earlier, today we're learning how to solve these algebraically, and the method we're using today is called substitution. So at the top of your notes, substitution is easiest to use when one of the variables is already solved for. Where the variable is already alone. The other method, linear combinations, also known as elimination, is used when neither variable is alone. Now you can use them interchangeably. You can use either method, but substitution is just easiest when the variable is already alone. Alright, so to solve a system using substitution, our first step is to isolate one of the variables. If it's not already alone, we need to get one of the variables all by itself. Now the variable we're going to choose is going to be the one without a coefficient in front, because that's the easiest to get by itself. So isolate one of the variables and one of the equations. And again, the easiest thing to do is choose the equation that has a variable with a coefficient of 1. And what is a coefficient? Who remembers what a coefficient is?
Number like next to it.
Yeah, very good. It's the number in front of our variable. So looking at number 1, 2 is a coefficient. The coefficient for y is 1. Taking a look at number 2, coefficient for y is 1, coefficient for x is 5. So we want to find the one that has a coefficient of 1, where it's already doesn't have a number in front. Alright, once we get that variable by itself, then we're going to substitute, that's why this is called substitution method, this expression into the other equation and solve for the remaining variable. Where are you writing this down, Steve?
I need to write others.
Right. Once we have substituted into it and solved for the remaining variable, that means we have one of our solutions. Because we have to solve for x and we have to solve for y. So we solve for one of them. Now to get the other variable, we substitute our answer back into one of the original equations and solve. And then remember, our answers for systems of equations, because we have an x and a y, is always written as an ordered pair. Remember, ordered pair looks like this, x, y. And again, it's possible to have one solution, no solutions, or all real numbers, just like we had on our graphs. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and walk through number 1 for you. So I ask that you please pay attention. If you have a question, raise your hand to ask that question, and then you will attempt number 2. I will swap it out after we do number 1. Okay, so again, I'm going to walk through number 1, explaining step by step. I ask that you pay attention so you know how to do number 2. Alright, so number 1. Again, we want to get a variable by itself. Well, look, and y is already all alone. Y equals 3. So now that's already alone, I'm going to take this value and substitute it in for y of my other equation. So instead of 2x plus y, I have 2x plus 3 equals 7. So again, I'm taking that 3 and just putting it in for y. So now I solve for x. So I want to subtract 3 from both sides. So I get 2x equals 4. And again, I'm getting x by itself, so all I'm just doing is solving what we did back in October. Divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so 1x, which is just x. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So again, what I did is y was already by itself. So instead of doing more work than I have to, they already got y alone. So I took y and I substituted in for y of my other equation. And I solved for x. Now I need to write my answer as an ordered pair. X is 2. And y is 3. So my answer is 2, 3. Questions on that? Okay. I want you guys to take the next minute and do number 2. You may work with the person next to you. Alright, what did we get for our answer for number 2?
3, 4.
3, 4? Raise your hand if you got 3, 4. Raise your hand if you got something else. Alright, let's take a look and see. Y is already solved for, so I'm taking 4 and I put that in for y. So instead of y plus 5x, I have 4 plus 5x equals 19. Then I need to solve for x, so I subtract 4. 5x equals 19 minus 4 is 15. Divide by 5 on both sides. X equals 3. So good, we know we got our x value right. Now we need to take this and put it together in my ordered pair. X equals 3, y equals 4. My answer is indeed 3, 4. Questions on that? Okay, so again, I'm going to do number 3. I ask that you please pay attention, be quiet, but ask questions if you don't understand what I'm doing. I will go step by step, and then I want you to try number 4. Okay, again, I need to get the variable by itself. When I look at my 2 equations, the second one already has x solved for. So they've already done that step for me. So I'm going to take this piece, the whole thing, and I have to put it in for x. Now what we need to be careful with is that sometimes we have to distribute negatives, sometimes we have to distribute numbers. So actually up here in your instructions, where it says for step 2, substitute this expression into the other equation and solve for the remaining variable. Sometimes we have to distribute. So just put a little note there, remember to distribute. For this problem that we're about to do, I'm going to be required to distribute that negative. So when we're substituting the expression in, it's often helpful to use parentheses to help us to know when we need to distribute. So again, I'm going to walk through number 3 for you. So I have x equals 2y minus 10. I'm going to take this whole thing and put it in for x here. So instead of negative x, I have negative the whole thing 2y minus 10, and then plus 3y equals 0. Again, what I have here was, instead of x, I'm replacing the whole thing with 2y minus 10. So this is where x was, but instead I'm putting in 2y minus 10, because x equals 2y minus 10. I can use them interchangeably. Alright, so now I need to distribute my negative here. So it's going to be negative 2y plus 10 plus 3y equals 0. Now I'm really glad we encountered this problem here because I saw this mistake made a lot on those tests. Here, I have two like terms I can combine together. Negative 2y and positive 3y are like terms. I can combine those together. Some of you were saying, oh, minus 3y minus 3y. Remember, we only do the opposite when we're trying to cross that equal sign. Here we're just combining these together. So negative 2 and positive 3. Negative 2 plus 3 is a positive 1y plus 10 equals 0. So I added these together. I combined those together to get positive 1y, which is just 1. This is just like that solving we did back in October. Alright, now I need to solve for y. So I subtract 10 from both sides. 10 minus 10 is 0. 0 minus 10 is negative 10. So there's part of my answer. Y equals negative 10. Okay, now what I need to do next is take this answer and put it back into one of my equations to solve for x. You can use either equation, but for this one, the second one's going to be easiest, right? It's already solved for x, so let's use our second one. So now, this equation, x equals 2y minus 10. I know what y is. Y is negative 10, so I'm going to put that in for y here. So x equals 2 times y, which is negative 10, minus 10. So again, I now know y, so I put that in to solve for x. 2 times negative 10 is negative 20, minus 10. And negative 20 minus 10 is negative 30. So I took my x expression, put it in to solve for y. It required me to distribute. Then once I solved for y, I now know that number. I can put it into my equation to get x. Yeah, so you could have, if you wanted to, if you really wanted to, you could have solved for y and put them into the other equation. But the fact that it's already solved for x for us makes it easier. So we wouldn't substitute for x. Alright, and then we write this as an ordered pair. X comes first, then y. And this is my final answer. Need to write it. Questions on what I did for number 3? It does take a while. These do take a little while, but they're not too bad. And you will encounter this again in geometry when you're solving systems, when you're oftentimes solving for lengths of sides. And then algebra 2, you'll see this again, but you have to do with quadratics, where you have x squared. Alright, if there are no questions, I want you to go ahead and try number 4. Work with the person next to you. And then I'll give you 3 minutes for this one, since that was a longer one.
Good job, dude.
And after 3 minutes, we'll come together and go over. Okay, what did we get for our answer?
Negative 8. I don't
Negative
know.
8.1?
Is your friend on?
We're not sure if this is right. Negative 8.1. Anybody else get negative 8.1? Nope. What else did we get?
Man.
Negative 24.
Oh.
Negative 47.
Beaten by her.
Did anybody else get negative
No,
24, negative 4?
Second quarter.
Yep. Okay, so let's see. Hopefully that's the right one. Let's see what we get.
I was not going to go win someone else. As
Oh.
we approach the end of the
Wait, what'd you say
second
you had?
quarter, I am happy to say that life has just finally given us the update.
It's still on your shirt.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's quickly go through this one. So I take this entire thing and I put it in for x. And I'm going to go through this a little bit faster. So negative the entire expression, 3y minus 12 plus 4y equals 8. We should all be paying attention. How long do you think it's going to take for T1 to realize I'm staring at him?
Like 2 minutes.
Okay, distribute our negative. So negative 3y plus 12 plus 4y equals 8.
Oh, I didn't turn it.
Yes, you must distribute that negative. Then combine like terms. So negative 3y and positive 4y gives us a positive 1y. How nice of him. Plus 12 equals 8. Subtract 12 from both sides. Y equals... Ooh.
Do it.
Oh, that's our y. Okay, good. Y is negative 4. Alright, so we've got one of our variables. So now let's go for the other one. Y is negative 4, so x equals 3 times negative 4 minus 12. Make sure you use those parentheses, let you know that we're multiplying there.
It's pretty neat.
And then 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Negative 12 minus 12 is negative 24. Good job. So our answer is negative 24, negative 4. Okay, questions on that? Okay, let's take a look at the back side. Alright, finally we're dealing with some that don't have the variable already solved for. Let's actually do number 7. Next.
Would you 8?
Nope. You're going to do number 8. Alright, so number 7, we have to do the full process. No variable is already solved for. So I'm going to have to solve for my variables. Now, taking a look at my equations here, notice that there's only one of the variables that has a coefficient. When I look, I'm probably going to want to solve for x right here, because there's a coefficient of 1. Now, again, you can solve for either variable in either equation. This is just going to be my easiest.
Finish number 4.
Nice.
Alright, so now I'm going to do number 7 again, step by step, slowly. Raise your hand and ask questions as I go through it, but please do pay attention so you know how to do number 8. So we should all be paying attention, not playing on your calculators, not talking to one another, and paying attention to what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to get this x all by itself. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Let's zoom in on this. I feel like we're kind of far away. Alright. So these cancel out, so I have x equals, and these are not like terms, so I cannot combine those together. So I have positive 4y and negative 1. So my expression is x equals 4y minus 1.
Why'd you skip the first? I got confused.
I'm solving for that x because it's the only one with the coefficient all by itself. Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to take this entire expression here and put that in for x of my other equation.
Oh.
See it? Alright, so now when I put this in, instead of 2 times x, 2 times the entire expression. It's the entire thing here. So I need to use parentheses, 4y minus 1 plus 2y equals 3. If it helps you out to rewrite the equation, sometimes it helps students I've learned that to rewrite this, instead of writing x, you just put a big parentheses. And then take this and put it in. Sometimes it helps students because they get a little confused, they lose some pieces here, whichever way works. Alright, looks like we have to distribute again. 2 times 4 gives me 8y. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. We still have plus 2y equals 3. Oh, look, we have like terms to combine together. Positive 8y, positive 2y. 8 plus 2 is 10y. Need to solve for y. So I add 2 to both sides. Those cancel. I have 10y equals 5. And then the last step to get y by itself is divide by 10. So I get y equals 5/10 reduces down to 1/2. Notice here we've gotten that fraction. That's the type of thing that on a graph, it would have crossed in the middle of a box, and you wouldn't have known if it was 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, 2/5. So we have to use algebra for these types of terms to know what the actual answer is. All right, so I've got y is positive 1/2. Now I'm going to take that and put it back into my equation. Now we want to put it back in one of my original equations, just in case you made a mistake somewhere along the way. Then we can get the right answer and put it back there. So again, it doesn't matter which one you use. I'm going to go ahead and use the second one because x is by itself. So x minus 4y equals negative 1. But we know that y is 1/2. So x minus 4 times 1/2, I'm just replacing it for y. And then I solve for x. Negative 4 times 1/2 is negative 2. Add 2 to both sides. And I get x equals positive 1. I'm not done though. I need to put my answers together in an ordered pair. So my answer is 1, 1/2. So again, what I've done is I chose to get this x by itself because it had a coefficient of 1 in front. It's all alone. So I added my 4y, got my expression for x, and put that into the other equation. Be careful, make sure you distribute when you must. As we distribute, then we can combine our like terms, get y, and put it in terms. Questions on that? Okay, I want you to do number 8. And then we'll go over that. And you'll have 3 minutes to do number 8. Okay, so let's take a look at number 8, what you guys just did. So again, like I said, the variable I would try to get by itself is this x here, because it has a coefficient of 1 in front. It's going to be the easiest one to get alone. So taking that over here, just to rewrite out so we have more room. Alright, so I want to get x by itself, so I'm going to subtract 3y from both sides. So I have x equals, and negative 3y and 3 are not like terms. I cannot combine them together, so negative 3y plus 3. Again, my negative 3 is in front of my y, and my 3 by itself is positive, so I need to make sure I keep those signs. 3y is negative, and the 3 by itself is positive. Okay, so I'm going to take this entire expression here, and I'm going to put that in for x of my equation, of the other equation. So 2x, which I have is negative 3y plus 3. So 2x plus 7y equals 1. And again, we have to distribute. So I have negative 6y plus 6 plus 7y equals 1. Combine my like terms, and I see that I can combine negative 6y and positive 7y, which gives me a positive 1y, how nice, plus 6 equals 1. Subtract 6 from both sides, and I get y equals negative 5. Okay, so I've got one of my variables. Now I need to get the other one. Okay, going back into my original equation, I'm going to go and pick my top one there. Take my top equation, x plus 3y equals 3. But now I know that y is negative 5, so I can put that in for y. So x plus 3 times y, which is negative 5, equals 3. So x plus negative 15, so that's just the same thing as minus 15, equals 3. add 15 to both sides. X equals 18. I'm not done yet. I need to put it in that ordered pair. X comes first, and then y. So my answer is 18, negative 5. Okay. So let's going to go back up to 5 and 6. Again, I'll do 5, and you do 6. So listen as I walk through each step, pay attention, and ask me questions if you have them. So for this one, I see that I actually have a few options for getting a variable by itself. X has a 1 in front of it, but it's actually negative 1, so it's not going to be as easy as if it was just 1. But I see that in both of these, y has a coefficient of 1. So you can solve for either one, doesn't really matter. I'm just going to go to the first one. Okay, so I'm going to take my first one and I'm going to solve for y. Okay, so let me rewrite it over here. Negative x plus y equals 1. So I'm going to get y by itself, so add x to both sides. So I get y equals x plus 1. Notice both my x is positive and the 1 is positive, so they're both positive in my equation. Alright, then this is the expression I take, and notice we're substituting this in for y this time, because it's y equals. So I have 2x plus y, which is the entire expression x plus 1. Now you could put parentheses around here if you want to, but there's no coefficient here, there's no negative to distribute, so you don't really need your parentheses because we're not distributing anything. Alright, equals negative 2. I have like terms I can combine together. Positive 2x, positive 1x. Positive 2 and positive 1 gives me a positive 3x plus 1 equals negative 2. Subtract 1 from both sides. 3x equals negative 3. And to get x by itself, divide by 3 on both sides, and I get x equals negative 4. Alright, I've got one of my solutions. Now I'm going to take that and put it back into my original equation to solve for y. Again, it does not matter which original equation you use. I'm going to just use the top one. So my equation was negative x plus y equals 1. But I now know that x is negative 1. So negative of a negative. So that's a little bit tricky. I'm glad we used that one. So negative of a negative 1 becomes positive 1. And then I subtract 1 from both sides. I get y actually equals 0. So combine this together, and I get negative 1, 0. That's my answer. Okay, now I want you to stop and try number 6 on your own. And then we'll come back together and go over that as well. So again, stop the video, try number 6 on your own, and then once you think you've got it, go and push play and see if you follow what we did here. Alright, so taking a look at number 6. Again, we have two options of which y we could solve for. Does not matter which one. I'm going to go ahead and do that top one again. So I'm going to rewrite that over here. Negative x plus y equals negative 4. Get y by itself, so I'm going to add x to both sides. I get y equals positive x minus 4. Again, notice my x is positive, my 4 is negative. Those signs need to stay with those terms. Alright, here's my expression. Put that in for y of my other equation. So now what we have is 4x plus y, which is the entire expression x minus 4. Again, since there's nothing to distribute, I don't need to use those parentheses. Combine my like terms, 4x and positive x, 4x plus 1x is 5x, minus 4 equals 26. Solve for x, add 4 to both sides, 5x equals 30. Get x by itself, so divide by 5, divide by 5, x equals 6. Now that I have x, I need to put that back into one of my original equations to solve for y. Again, it does not matter which one. I'm going to go and use the second one this time. just because I did the first one before, I'm going to show you that it works on the second one as well. Alright, so when I take my second equation, which was 4x plus y equals 26, I now know that x is 6, so 4 times 6 plus y equals 26. 4 times 6 is 24, plus y equals 26. Subtract 24 from both sides. I get y equals 26 minus 24 is 2. And that would be my final answer. So my final answer is 6, 2. So again, what we're doing each time is solving for one of the variables, then taking that expression and putting it into my other equation, solve for the variable there, then take that and put it back into your original equation to solve for the other. Alright, let's take a look at our last two. Some nice multiple choice. So number 9, look at the system of equations. What is the value of x for the solution to the system of equations? So they want us to find that solution, but this is typical SOL type of multiple choice. They want only the x value. Okay. So with solving this system, again, we want to take the variable that's by itself and substitute into our other equation. I see that y is already by itself, so I'm going to take this entire expression and put it into y, my other equation. So that's 3x plus y, and y is x plus 3 equals 11. Alright, combine my like terms. 3x and x gives me 4x plus 3 equals 11. Subtract 3 from both sides. Those cancel out, so I get 4x equals 8. And divide by 4 on both sides. We get x equals 2. So the answer would be A. Now suppose when you were doing this you solved for y instead of x. You then need to take that and put it back into your original equation to solve and get x. So make sure you pay attention to the instructions to see which variable it is that they're asking for. Alright, go ahead and pause this video. Try number 10, see what you can get, and then hit play to see if you got the same thing that we did. Alright, number 10. Same type of question. Look at the system. What is the value of x for solution to this system of equations? Again, they want to have the x value. Y is already solved for, so I'm going to take this entire expression and put it in for y. So I have x minus 2 times the entire expression for x plus 6. That equals -5. You'll notice again that it's the exact same equation as above. X minus 2y, where y is 4x plus 6, equals -5. So all I'm doing is I'm taking y, the expression for, and substitute it in. Okay, now this one requires you to distribute here. My -2. Remember, x minus 2, same thing as plus and -2. So I'm distributing -2. Alright, -2 times 4 is -8x. -2 times 6 is -12 equals -5. Oops. Alright, then combine our like terms. X and -8x. So positive 1x, -8x. 1 minus 8 gives me -7x. Minus 12 equals -5. Add 12 to both sides. -7x equals positive 7. Divide by -7, divide by -7. X equals -1. Now give me an answer. Okay. Alright, so again, to recap what we've done today. Last time, when we saw you forever long ago, we learned how to find the solutions by graphing them. And what we did was we looked at the intersection of the two lines. We did that with going over our homework, and we did a warm-up problem over that. Let me get back to that. So what we did before was we used to graph our lines to find the intersection point, but we talked about how when it's not at a nice intersection and not a nice whole number, we don't know the exact value. So sometimes we need to use algebraic methods, and the method we learned today was substitution. We solve for one of our variables, get it by itself. So let's take a look at number 6 here. We get one of our variables all by itself. Once we have established that expression, then we take this entire expression and put it into my other equation. That requires us sometimes to have to distribute. Then we solve, get our number for that variable, put it back into one of my originals, which we did over here, and solve for the other variable, and we always write our answer as this ordered pair right here. All right, again, your homework is worksheet 4. Remember also that your e-card, if you did not do it over the snow days, it is now part of your homework. It is due Sunday because we do not have school on Friday, so you have time to do it. If you're unable to get to a computer to do that, then you may come see us and we can get a computer for you to do it after school or during the stinger time. Just make sure you come and talk with us.